All right. C2. I am not going to have a formal review sheet for you because these last 2 days worth of work have been your review sheets. These last 2 worksheets. If you see it on there, it's fair game for the quiz. And if you see it on the review today, it's pretty much fair game. If you want more review, you can go on and print off the notes from this once I download these. All right? And you can review based on this as well. But there's no, essentially the homework tonight is to study. Prepare for the quiz. I'm not giving you a formal review sheet this time. You'll be fine. But these are the types of problems we're going to see. We start out with review questions. Things like find the slope of the line. I give you 2 points, you find the slope. How would we set this up? 8 minus 5 over 1 minus negative 3. So that's 3 over 4. Slope of that line is 3/4. That's all there is to it. Not asking for the equation of the line. All it wants is the slope. Be sure to read the question and know what it's asking for, because certainly I could give you the same thing and say find the equation of the line containing the points instead of just the slope. If you don't read the problem, you might go further than you need to. So make sure you read the instructions. Graph a line. We haven't done a lot of this, but certainly this is something I think you're pretty good at, especially when the equation's given in slope-intercept form. Where are we going to start graphing? -2. And -2 on the y-axis, not -2 on the x-axis. -2 down here. We're going to label that. Clearly mark it and label it. Then what is the slope going to be? Okay, so from starting where? At 0, -2, we're going to go what direction? Up 3 and to the right 4. Not just over, but to the right. That becomes the point 4, 1. And then maybe we'll do it one more time. Up 3, to the right 4. That's the point 8, 4. And then we play connect the dots, drawing in our line. Arrows on both ends to indicate it's a line, not a segment. And we're done. Yeah.
What would that be, 3? We'll have to clear up 7/4. Equal by 3.
I went up 3, that's the y, over 4.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm thinking we're wrong, guys.
Okay. If you're not sure, count boxes. I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? Given a line with slope -4 and y-intercept of 2, write the equation of the line. This is like from last night, not last night, the night before's homework. Couldn't be easier. What's the equation?
Y equals -4x.
That's it, we're done. Okay, there's no calculation to do there. That's a gimme problem. If you know y equals mx plus b, you plug in the slope, you plug in the intercept, you're done. Don't need any fancy equations or formulas or anything like that, just y equals mx plus b. Simplest formula. How about the next one? Given points 2, 6, and -112, find the equation of the line in slope-intercept form. Ooh. Now, all of these equation of the line problems come down to pretty much the same thing. You need a point on the line, and you need the slope of the line. And finding the slope we talked about yesterday, there are 5 different ways to find the slope. It can be given to us. We can use slope formula. We can get it off a graph. We could use a parallel line, or we could use a perpendicular line. So the real trick here is finding the slope. If I can find the slope of the line and I'm almost always given a point, then it's a pretty easy problem. Because every time we're going to go back to our good old point slope form, y minus y1 equals m, x minus x1. Oh, do not give me spinning wheel of death and quit on me. All right? So in this case, I've got 2 points. I can choose either one. I'm going to choose that one. Just why? Because it came first. And it's both positive numbers, which I kind of like. How are we going to find the slope? In this case, how are we going to find the slope? In the formula, right? So that's 12 minus 6, or negative 1 minus 2, or 6 over negative 3, which is negative 2. That's m, so now I do y minus 6 equals negative 2x minus 2. And then we distribute. Plus 4, because a negative times a negative is a positive. And then we add 6 to each side. Y equals negative 2x plus 10. Now, why show your work? Because, again, this is just so many opportunities for mistakes. Probably the most common one I would expect here is to get minus 4 instead of plus 4. Forget that the negative times a negative is a positive. But if that was your only mistake in this entire problem, I'd probably still give you 2.5 out of 3 points. But if I don't know and you give me y equals negative 2x plus 2, but you didn't show me your work, and I don't know where you made that mistake for sure, you're probably going to lose at least 2 out of 3 points. So make sure you're showing every step. Every step along the way. Can you use slope-intercept instead to do this? Y equals mx plus b? Yes, but that's not the method I'm going for. It takes longer. And I think it's harder. I think this is much easier. The equation of a line containing the point negative 3/8 with slope of 2/3. Well, this is nice because what are the two things I need to know? I need to know a point and the slope. And what are they giving me? A point and a slope. So we just go right in. Y minus equals 2/3 x plus 3 minus negative 3 is plus 3. Okay? Distribute. Y minus 8 equals 2/3 x plus 2. Add 8. Y equals 2/3 x plus 10. And there's my answer. Hooray. Easy enough. Graph a line with equation, or given the line with equation y equals 1/2 x minus 3, find the equation of a parallel line through the point 6,2. Again, we need a point and the slope, but this time we have, and this is why it's a good idea sometimes to have a highlighter with you when you're taking a test or a quiz. I might do this. Parallel line. Ooh. Parallel line. Oh, that's telling me something. It's telling me that I'm going to find my slope by making it the same as the slope of another line, because parallel lines have the same slope. So what's the slope of this line? 1/2. So the slope of my parallel line has to be? What if I had said perpendicular line? What would the slope have had to have been? Negative 2 over 1, so negative 2. So again, and now once we have a slope and a point, we just do the same thing. Y minus 2 equals slope x minus, we distribute, and then we add 2, and I get y equals 1/2 x minus 1. Sorry for the delayed writing right now, but it's like magic. I write, and then a few seconds later it shows up. All right, so there we are. And again, you'll notice every one of these problems winds up being exactly the same. We use the same formula, we do the same thing. The only thing that's differing is how we find the slope. And so you have to be... Great, just lost all the notes. Yeah.
Yes. That's a bad thing. Let's do it all.
Okay.
Or the bridge. Well, What was your breaking?
Yes. So at least the podcast will still be there with all the notes in the podcast. So let's see if we can get it going again. I don't know. Let's see if it'll recover.
Yes, please.
And spinning a little dust.
At least it wasn't that long. Come on. On your piece of crate.
Oh, well, may have saved some of it.
Hey! Yeah, there it is. Lock it in.
Yeah, but it's not working.
Mr. Dorn. Piece of crap.
Okay, well, let's see. It's good.
Get one of me on.
Oh, we lost these, but that's okay. We'll go to the next slide.
Yeah.
Write the equation of this line. Okay, now I have specifically marked 2 points here. Notice the y-intercept is not at a nice spot, is it? So what are we going to have to do? We're going to find the slope of this line and then use some other method of doing it. I do have the point here of -1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
What's the slope?
And I have the point here of 1, 2, 3, 4, -4. Okay? The slope I can find fairly easily. It's up 2 over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the slope is 2/5. I've got the slope. I've got a point, 2 different points to choose from. I can do my y minus y1 again, can I? Which point do you want to use, the 4, -4, or the -1, 6?
-1.
Okay, so y plus 6 equals 2/5 x plus 1. We're going to get a fraction. We're going to have to subtract 6 from both sides. So y equals 2/5 x, and then 2/5 minus 6 is -28/5. Okay? Well, that's why you have a calculator to go 2/5 minus 6 in your calculator if you don't know how to do that. Yes?
I used absolute values, like in algebra 2.
Right, but we aren't going to use algebra 2 techniques, okay? I'm happy you're in algebra 2, but we're using these techniques. All right? So there we are. Rewrite in slope-intercept form. We've done this a couple times. How am I going to rewrite this in the slope-intercept form? What's going to be my first step? Minus 4x to both sides. So -2y, do not lose that negative sign, is -4x plus 7. Now what? Divide by -2, not by 2. I got to be careful because I'm dividing by a negative. This is y equals 2x minus 7/2. There we go. Watch your signs carefully. Take your time and watch the signs. That's going to make a huge difference. What is the equation of a line containing the point 2, -6 with slope 0? Careful. Okay. No. Okay. We've talked about this before. Let me just kind of rewind this one. Yeah. Slope of 0 is not undefined. 0 is just a measure along the scale. Undefined is undefined. Slope of 0 is a slope, which means I could use the formula if I want to, but I don't have to. A slope of 0 is always a y equals equation. It's normal, because slope of 0 is a perfectly good measurement. Y equals what? -6. What if instead I had said the same thing, but slope undefined? Undefined means I can't use my formulas, which means something's wrong. It's something strange. Not wrong, but something strange. Almost all my equations are y equals. A strange one would be one that's x equals. Since something's strange, that undefined slope is kind of a hint. Something strange. It's x equals, what's x going to equal? 2. The x coordinate or whatever point I've got there. Okay? And that's basically what's going to be on your quiz tomorrow. Now, we've still got about 7-8 minutes here, so are there any questions? I want to make sure we got through our review, but now are there any things on that worksheet from yesterday that you still would like to go over? Yes?
One of these, the standard form equation.
Oh, go to standard form?
Yeah.
Okay, y equals negative 3/5 x minus 5. Now this one was a little different. It was work backwards to standard form, which means the same, just work backwards. Standard form means no fractions, first and foremost. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of my fractions. How am I going to do that? What are you going to do? Multiply everything by 5. And you have to be careful to multiply everything by 5, not just the fraction. Everything gets multiplied by 5. So I get 5y equals, here the 5's cancel, negative 3x minus what? 25. A lot of people will forget that 25, they'll just write down 5. So make sure everything gets multiplied. Now, standard form requires the x to come first, so we need to move the x to the other side just like we did before. We're undoing that, so add 3x. So 3x, this positive 5y, so plus 5y equals negative 25. And we're done. That's it, 2 steps. The worst thing we'd have to do is do a third step if this wound up being, like if this was positive, then we subtracted 3x. And one with a negative here, we'd have to change the signs of everything. Multiply by negative 1 to get rid of that negative to start with, because standard form does not allow a negative starting number. All right? But that's pretty much the process. Get rid of fractions, move the x. Just like, so multiply and move the x. Going the other way, it was move the x and divide. They're just opposites. Other questions? Okay, when we come in tomorrow, there'll be a couple minutes for any last-second questions or reminders, and then probably straight on to the benchmark. Should have plenty of time for it. It's been kind of a short little unit here, but linear equations. Also, just a reminder that if you need to do a retake on the C1 benchmark, guys, stop. If you need to do a retake on the C1 benchmark, you need to try to get that in as soon as possible. Also, Unit B test retakes are due like by next Tuesday.
I'm going to show you my corrections.
Yeah, see, but the retake has to be done by next Tuesday. You got to go over the corrections, make sure you have time to go over it with the teacher and everything. All right, so let's get our Centios put away.
Dorn, can I come out?
You have passport, you need a passport.